Hello, I'm Daniel, coming to you from the beautiful but rainy Pacific Northwest I call Seattle home, and I'm the curator of the data-generated vintage cube. Now it's a classic vintage cube, so it really harkens back to the origins of cube, where people were just kind of putting the most high-powered, broken things in a cube, jamming it, and the real twist here is that it's data-driven curation. So really, there's an algorithm behind the scenes that's analyzing cube Cobra data and doing all the card choices. So when we're analyzing cubes, we've got an algorithm that's running and it's considering things such as, a card's inclusion rate in a subset of cubes, maybe a card's ELO, things like that to sort of weight how important a card is and if it gets into the data-generated vintage cube. A few cards I'd like to highlight are, first off, things you think about when you think of vintage cube, the peaks of power. That's things like the Power 9 Black Lotus and things like that. People love drafting these cards, love playing with them, and I'm super excited to be able to share these kind of pieces of Magic's history with the greater cube community. It always brings me a little bit of joy when people get to crack a pack and draft a piece of power. Second thing I'd like to sort of highlight is really just, I'm not going to talk about the archetypes. I think that Vintage Cube is a well-known entity, but I would just highlight a lot of the engine cards that you will see here that speak to a lot of the common strategies in Vintage Cube. Things like Channel and Tinker, and maybe something like a Sneak Attack, which really enables you to cheat on mana to put big things into play faster than you would in a normal game of Magic. The third sort of category of cards I'd like to highlight for you are just some sort of aesthetic choices. I really pride myself on the aesthetic choices that I've made for this particular cube, so please enjoy the sort of judge promos, beta dual lands, anything like old cards that are rare and hard to find. So I hope you will enjoy opening packs, drafting these, playing with these old and beautiful cards just as much as I enjoy sharing it with you. Again, this data-generated vintage cube is really about the community, the choices that everybody makes in creating a vintage cube and what goes in there, and this cube is really that amalgamation of those choices. Thanks for listening, and I hope you'll give the data-generated vintage cube a try at CubeCon.